Hello, fellow marketers. I'm Brian Bowie, and welcome to another episode of Directive R&D. Today, I'm joined by a special guest, our innovation manager at Directive, Josh Nelson. Josh, welcome to the show.
Hey, what's up, Doc?
Loving the spectacles.
Thank you. Aren't they spectacular?
Very much so. Well, I'm super excited to talk about AlphaBeta campaigns today. And it's a account structure we use in Google Ads that helps us continually get better and maximize budget efficiency within directive specific campaigns. So I'm going to share a quick deck and we're going to walk through it. You see my screen all right?
Yep.
Awesome. So before we dive in, wanted to chat a little bit more about AlphaBeta and the benefits of it. So what would you say are the main benefits of the AlphaBeta campaign structure for Google Ads?
It really all comes down to just maximizing impression share for your top performing keywords, and also just the budget efficiency that comes from that. So just from a top level, you have two separate campaigns. You have a beta campaign and an alpha campaign, right?
Yeah.
So the beta campaign, you could treat that as sort of like the testing campaign to find those top performing queries. And then once those are identified, you pull them into alpha campaigns where we run them as exact match, boost the budgets, boost the impression share, and maximize the amount of conversions that we're getting on a daily basis.
Makes sense. Oh, I have some questions for you around maximizing impression share. But yeah, just so that some of the viewers that maybe aren't familiar with that term, can you explain what maximizing impression share means?
Yeah, so impression share is the amount of impressions that you're capturing with the amount that is actually available. So like if you have a 50% impression share, that means you're only capturing 50% of the searches. You're only showing up 50% of the time you're allowed to show up for.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And doing like small little tactics like this using alpha betas in a way to improve impression share kind of just pulls the levers that we have within Google Ads. Because if you just let it run in like the same sort of campaign using smart broads or any sort of other bid strategies, Google is just going to spend your money and try to get you the performance that it wants, not necessarily knowing which keywords you always want to show up for, which keywords are always the top performing ones and that are leading to high ROI down the pipeline.
That makes sense. Yeah, so on the right here, we have a cool diagram that kind of walks through the process. Can you walk us through this for how you figure out what to put in alpha and what to put in beta?
Totally. So with any campaign, it always starts off with keyword research, just going in depth into understanding how people are searching for your products.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you have that keyword pool, it's good to group them into single intent ad groups, tightly themed ad groups, just around like what the words are, so you can run ads for those. And then usually you start off with just one campaign, and that would be called like the beta campaign.
Okay.
Run that. And then as you start getting some conversions, you have to like kind of figure out like what those benchmarks are going to be to say this is an all-star keyword and this is just a keyword that hasn't really proven itself. So like you can start with like 3 conversions and make that be an all-star. And then as you go on, you adjust that benchmark. But once you start picking out those winners and you start seeing those winners from the search query performance reports, you pull those out into an alpha campaign, run it as exact match, exclude it in the beta campaign, and then any so that's on the winning side. When you identify queries that are losers, they're just wasting too much money, they're not showing performance or anything like that, you add those as a negative list like you normally would for any sort of campaign. And then I would say 80% of the queries that you're going to be seeing, like 90% are going to be those queries that just need more data. And you just let those run and you just continue to test, do what you normally do in search campaigns, new ads, new ad extensions, and all that sort of stuff.
That makes sense. So beta is kind of your testing ground and like what we're doing in the lab, right? And then alpha are kind of your best hitters, the the best performing terms, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Yep.
Cool. And I know you mentioned benchmarks before and setting some of those thresholds. I think what's a cool visual here that we have is an example when you have offline conversion tracking set up so that you can create benchmarks based on KPIs you care about, whether they're SQLs, MQLs, demo requests, something where you have a target cost per, or you have a conversion rate for that KPI. And we'll dive into that in just a second, but that's like taking it to the next step, right? In terms of figuring out what are the best winners and what are the losers.
Yeah. Yeah. So I would say like in the final form, alpha betas are in its final evolution when you have OCT set up so that you could map everything down pipeline and really connect every single optimization you're doing within Google Ads to like specific Salesforce miles or sales milestones.
Yeah, I think that makes a ton of sense. I'm gonna jump into the next one in terms of some of the different components we see within more effective paid search advertising. And part of the piece, you kind of have to have all of it running at the same time when you are seeing a more mature account, and you're starting to see ROI from your campaigns. But here we have alpha, beta, and smart broad campaigns where can you explain the relationship between these two when you're like testing and then moving certain ad groups or keywords into alpha?
Yeah. So, like I was saying before, you really just start with the beta campaign. So you could look at smart broads as that beta campaign,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's broad keywords. You're really doing like exploratory sort of campaign setups. And then from those queries that are performing high in that smart broad campaign, you pull them into the alpha. And that's how you have that full alpha beta setup where smart broad equals beta, alpha exact campaign equals the alpha. And then throw on top of that, just right above, going a little bit ahead of you, is the offline conversion tracking aspect of it, like we were talking about a few seconds
Right.
ago.
Right. But you still need, really good, a good strategy for your post-click experience, right? From your offer, your messaging, pre-click to post-click with dedicated landing pages. So it converts, fuels your analysis and your data for OCT to have enough data for you to analyze. And then it kind of is like a cycle. And that's how you keep getting better, right?
Yep. Yep. I would say the dedicated landing pages and the post click experience is, I would say, like 60% of what makes a campaign successful in paid search. So you can do all you can on the smart broads, alpha, beta, OCT, but if that post click experience isn't given what the end user wants, then it's just going to fall flat on its face.
Yep. Yikes. All right. So we won't dive too far into offline conversion tracking, but for, visitors that haven't, or viewers that haven't seen some of our previous videos about it, can you give a high level overview of what OCT is?
Yeah, so essentially what it is, it's offline conversion tracking, meaning that it's Google Ads is integrating with your CRM so that you can take MQLs, SQLs, opportunities, and closed won deals and have those as conversion actions within your account so that you can then start to optimize off of those data points and use the bid strategies to make those automated changes and basically take everything to the next level within your ad account.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense and very specific to, B2B SaaS or B2B in general. And when you have lengthier sales cycles and you have different KPIs in your waterfall or milestones that you want to track, very important to do so. And that's kind of an example we have here on the right where you can kind of segment out your conversion actions and get data based on ads, keywords, ad groups by the KPI you want to look at. So very powerful setup process to go through and highly recommended because you can't get this data. It doesn't go retroactive. So once you need to set it up and then you can start collecting data for it. Awesome. And then, so Josh, what type of results have we seen when we've kind of combined OCT and then those learnings from beta into alpha? Can you share kind of what we've seen from that?
Yeah, so I mean, across the board, we always see positive aspects of just implementing alpha beta, but this one was just one of the hand-picked ones that kind of pieced together everything in that perfect scenario where we have the OCT is fueling the alpha beta decisions. So what we found was like we were optimizing just based off of the OCT insights, and when we segmented those alpha campaigns, we saw a 717 return on ad spend, and versus the rest of the account. So it's amazing results, and especially in the B2B side of things, to have that connection with OCT and really isolate those top performing queries that we know are leading to closed won deals. It's just it's common sense. You just got to isolate those and increase the impression share for those queries, and the numbers will speak for themselves. So I would say anyone watching this, just give it a shot and just wait and see what the results are going to be.
Yeah, these are some major results. You can see the major difference in return on ad spend with this setup. So I'm going to go back here and just give some tips. So if it sounds simple to like segment your top performing keywords and ad groups to their own campaign, is there any tips on how to maximize impression share for your alpha campaigns?
Yeah, so I would run them as exact match. Whatever ads that you were running, whatever negatives that you had added into the beta campaign, carry those over into the alpha campaign. There's some scripts out there that allow it to be exact match only. I think there's one by Brain Labs that makes exact match again. That'll help out with the impression share. Really just whatever findings that you see in the beta campaign, carry it over to the alpha campaign, and just make sure that you're excluding that query in the beta campaign, so that you're kind of controlling Google in a way to make all that traffic go towards that alpha campaign.
Nice, that makes sense. Would you recommend, so there's a lot of different automated bid settings between like target CPA or maximize clicks or maximize impression share. Would you just recommend testing them all with the OCT insights, or would you recommend one or another for this type of setup?
I would use whatever bid strategy you were using in the beta campaign. If you could bring in the OCT stuff, definitely bring that in and have the bid strategies use those OCT conversion actions to fuel it. Once it starts getting traction in the alpha campaign, test out an experiment campaign what maximize impression share bidding looks like, right? Because the whole idea of alpha beta is to maximize impression share. So it's worth a shot, and just to always have that mindset of always be testing.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think I got to bring you on for another one around running campaign level experiments with bidding models like that. So, well, thank you so much for joining the show and giving some awesome insights around AlphaBeta. If anyone has any questions, please leave a comment and hopefully we'll get back to you. And yeah, Josh, hope to have you on in the next lab soon. Thanks again for tuning in.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you.
Awesome. Bye, everybody.
See ya.